Hey folks, good morning. Beautiful day today. Sun is beaming, the wind's blowing, so it's great weather for me. Cool and sunny. I was just watching a documentary type thing a few days ago, and what what was important out of the documentary was a discussion about how people, especially leaders, who openly state something that is true, but recant their statement months or years later because they want to curry favor for towards someone or something or a group or something like that. The people who did this documentary are uh, investigative reporters, independent investigative reporters, and they came up out of it as a perspective based on the world in general. What was really particular about this is that they asked a simple question, really simple. When a leader of any particular group in any aspect, corporations, in your office, in your life, political, governmental, non-governmental, if leaders state something about an individual that is really true, and but they recant or backstep themselves because they want to ingrace themselves to that individual, is that kind of leadership questionable? It was all about ethics in a sense. And for me, a person who studied ethics, it was something that is a glooming perspective. Negative? No. Glooming? Yes. They looked at the assessment based on psychological, political, leadership, but it was about personal ethical character. That gave me a lot of point to look at because what they're saying is that there are leaders today who are really honest individuals who are willing to put their politics, their situation, to hold others accountable. And those kind of leaders do not really exist anymore. Men and women of integrity, of character, willing to do the right thing to protect the lives of others. One of the statement of one reporter even said it. When individuals in positions of leadership gain the perspective of being honest, perspective of having the integrity and character to hold other individuals to the same plane of trust, of respect, of honesty, and the people around them are angry that this person is willing to do so, one has to question them, the people. When men of honor, of integrity, of character, men and women of honor, integrity, and character is present, are you willing to stand by them? And are people out of those character who are willing to put themselves out there for the right thing? Why don't people really support them? People don't support these kind of leaders because it doesn't affect them. Until it affects individuals, people with honor, integrity, character, and principle are often never put in a higher pedestal until it's too late. While people who are willing to stand up and say, hey, this guy's an idiot, but retract themselves because they want to, because they need to, because want to be in grace with that individual or that group or that community, you need to question that leadership, that leader themselves. And that was the thing about this documentary, or I don't know if it's called documentary, but it was something it was a perspective that I really looked at. In the end, it really asked the question: when you have individuals in leadership position who states that this person, this policy, this group are wrong because of unethical, unmoral, unprincipled values, but they turn around and support that person, the policy, a month, a week, a year later, you gotta ask, what are they getting out of it? What's the benefit for them? Those were questionable aspects that people in this country and other countries do not ask anymore. When people with these kinds of virtue, willing to stand there and tell you what they think, but turn around and backtrack themselves, you need to ask, what changed? Now, I've seen leaders who have changed, and I'll tell you that perspective. I had a individual I was talking to. We used certain examples and certain aspects. It was years ago. And he and I agreed that there are people of principle who are so honest. And I forgot who it was. This one person said, I made a mistake, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, but I made a mistake because the evidence, the poignant part of what he said was he put forth the evidence why he changed his mind. He just didn't change his mind because I changed my mind because his policy was great or their policy was right, or no. This individual, I forgot if it was a politician or I don't know if he was, but he put forth the evidence to basically put the notion he changed his mind because this thing came up. It was proven that I was wrong. He was honest enough to say, hey, I was wrong. Jane or Joe was right because the evidence showed blah, blah, blah. That was the turning point for him. So those leaders do exist when they are willing to admit they're wrong and put the facts in support of their change versus a leader who just changed because it is convenient for their political life or their career or whatever. That is a questionable act that sometimes people need to ask. Are they really working for me or are they working for themselves? These kind of leadership do exist where people do question their actions and remand their actions with reasons why they changed or they turned back to turn away from what their perspective was before. That's something I feel like we're lacking in every aspect of politics, in leadership as a whole. Ethics has taught me that individuals needs to hold everyone accountable, even themselves. But honesty and integrity with character and principle are often something I don't see a lot in any major point of leadership unless they can prove their worth. Do you think in many sense when leaders today try to backtrack themselves and just they backtrack because it protects their future insight, their own situation, should you start questioning their accountability, themselves, the people, while leaders who do change their mind and explain to others why they did it and provide the proof why they did it. There's evidence that their insight was wrong and they're admitting wrong. Do you still trust that person? That's a question that you gotta ask yourself, because I've asked myself that many times, and more lately I do wonder if people are willing to question the narrative to fit the situation they're in. So in the end, what do you think? Do you think individuals in leadership positions who change their mind to basically backtrack themselves because they need to embrace themselves with the individual or group or organization to save their future. Do you think these are leaders that you should still trust or should trust? While leaders who admit they're wrong and prove they're wrong by providing, hey, this is the evidence why I'm wrong. This is why this is wrong. Blah 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 blah. Should they be still looked at as men and women of principle? So if you think I'm wrong, hit me. If you think I'm right, hit me. I just want your insight. But for now, you stay safe, take care, and of course, do me a favor, keep smiling and enjoy what life offers. Stay safe, everyone.